Good day everyone, I have something totally awesome to show you today. This is a Zenith video movie model VM6200 VHS-C camcorder from 1986. I got this from the e-waste pile a year and a half ago and I'm just getting to making the video of this now. It was the first thing I got from the e-waste pile back in January of 2015. And what's totally awesome is I didn't get just the camcorder, I got it in the original carry case with all the original equipment, cables and the power supply and a bunch of batteries. And it doesn't end there. I got two of them. No kidding, there is a whole other camcorder with its own set of accessories in this case. Two complete camcorders, and they both work perfectly. They're both in great shape. The one in this case, which I will show you later, it's got a couple of cosmetic imperfections. This one's pretty much cosmetically perfect, but they both work perfect, and it's just it's totally awesome. Two early VHS-C camcorders, complete in the boxes, or not boxes, complete in the cases. These are hard plastic carry cases with both with power supplies, both each with 3 batteries, so 6 batteries total, and both with all the video cables so you can hook it up to a television set or what have you. Now if you know anything about vintage camcorders, or if you've ever read up about vintage camcorders, this might look familiar to you, or the name video movie might seem familiar to you. This is nothing more than a rebranded JVC video movie model GR-C7, and that is totally sweet because the JVC GR-C7 is a very historic camcorder. Basically, 1986, the JVC GR-C7 was the successor to the JVC GR-C1, which was the very first VHS-C camcorder, and it was the camcorder featured in Back to the Future. You know, it's that bright red camcorder. The GR-C1 was a larger shoulder mount camcorder. This was the successor to it, and it was improved in quite a many ways. First of all, it looks quite big. It is quite big compared to a modern camcorder. I'll get my High 8 camcorder here. I'm filming this with the Digital 8 because we will take sample footage from this. If we compare this to my High 8 camcorder is quite a large camcorder in itself, but you can see that this one is quite a bit larger and it's quite a bit heavier too. However, it is small and light enough to carry in your hand. It doesn't need it's not shoulder mounted. You just pick it up right in your hand. And in fact, this was the smallest and lightest full-featured camcorder upon its release. There were smaller and lighter camcorders that came beforehand, but they lacked a lot of functionality. A good example is the original Sony Handycam, the model CCD M8U. It was much smaller and lighter than this camcorder. However, it lacked zoom, it lacked any playback, VCR functionality. It lacked really most functionality that you find on camcorders now. However, this camcorder is very full featured. It's got a zoom, it can be fully used as a VCR, and it's got all the functionality you'd find on any full featured camcorder. And it was the smallest and lightest camcorder at the time that had all that functionality. Second, this camcorder has a CCD image sensor. Conventional today, but very, very new technology in 1986. This was JVC's first camcorder to use a CCD image sensor. The GR-C1 used a Nuvicon tube, a video tube, to receive the video image. This used a CCD, very new, very modern technology at the time. Very young technology. CCDs were quite immature at this time. They produced good quality video, but they still had improvements to go in the way of light sensitivity and stuff like that. However, I expected this camcorder to, have quite poor image quality, just being such a early use of a CCD and quite poor light sensitivity. But not only is the image quality from this camcorder very good, the light sensitivity is also very good. I was really quite surprised, so they really did a good job designing this thing. However, they did it to get such good light sensitivity out of this early CCD. So let's do a physical overview of this thing. Starting at the back, or at the top maybe, the viewfinder. It is a black and white CRT viewfinder. It's very nice. And interestingly, it's not permanently wired into the unit. It's got this cable which actually plugs in right here, and you can pull the plug out. I don't know for what purpose, but it's there. It's got a diopter adjustment right here. It's a little switch to take out the battery. So I've got a battery attached to this one. Zenith battery, however, it's of course identical to the JVC units. This battery was also used on the JVC GR-C7, and it was probably used on many other camcorders. In fact, I have yet another camcorder I'm going to show you in a future video, much newer. It's from the mid-90s, and it was made by a different manufacturer, and it uses this style of battery. It was just different enough that these batteries won't fit on it, but I can force them on, you know, with a bit of physical violence, and they fit and they work. So yeah, quite a standardized battery, but we can take it out here. It is a 9.6 volt NiCad battery, 1 amp hour. So I got 6 of these batteries total. 5 are the original Zeniths, and 1 was an aftermarket 2 amp hour battery. These batteries vary a bit in capacity. I've tested all of these on my iMax B6 charger. Some of them are not so healthy anymore. A couple of them are still pretty good. This is the worst battery. It's actually not functional anymore. I put it on just, you know, for show, because now the camcorder looks kind of funny. It looks kind of stubby. This battery did originally work. I measured it to be 175 milliamp hours. That was the first time I did a capacity test on it. I go to use this battery one day, and I go to charge it up, and one of the cells have shorted. 1 or 2 of the cells have shorted. One of the cells or 2 of the cells are a hard short now. I can pump as much current into this battery as I want, and the voltage never goes up above like 6 or 7 volts. And it doesn't even get hot or anything. I tried once just for the heck of it. I took this to school and put this on one of the electronic power supplies and just started pumping 5 amps into it. And yeah, the battery never got above like 6 or 7 volts. So what I'm going to do with this battery is I'm actually going to cut it open with my mom's Dremel. And I think I'm going to see if I can replace the cells in this with 3 or 6 18650 lithium-ion cells, because that would add up to around the same voltage, and it would be like twice the capacity that this battery originally was. It'd be much lighter, and yeah, that'd be really cool. 3 in series 18650 cells, or in a 3S2P configuration. I've got tons of cells, might as well put them to use. So yeah, this battery's junk. The next worst battery I have it charging on the iMax right now. I've tested it to be around 330 milliamp hours, and it works quite well aside from the lower capacity. The others are quite good. I have one of them that's around 500, one that's around 700. So yeah, not bad. They're all very much old and weak batteries, but they're still quite functional aside from this one now, so that's pretty good. Got some info on the back here. Do not point the camera lens directly at the sun. That would destroy a Nuvicon tube. Well, I think Nuvicons are quite reliable, but that would destroy some video pickup tubes. I've never heard of a CCD actually. I've yet to ever actually hear of a CCD being damaged by pointing it at the sun. So there's a jack right there. That's what you plug the power supply into if you want to run this off the power supply instead of the battery. So you can't have the battery in the camcorder and charge it at the same time. The power supply has a slot in it for the battery to go in. Battery just clips right on. That's our record button, just like any camcorder. Zoom control. I forget how much zoom this has. I think it's 10x or thereabouts, but I completely forget. Well, I can calculate it right now. It is from 9 to 54 millimeters. Oh, so not nearly 10x. Divide 54 by 9 and that's what you get. So it would be around 6x optical zoom, which was pretty ordinary for the time. So your zoom control there. It is a power zoom, but as you can see, you can actually manually zoom. You have both, which is really neat. You have an electrically powered zoom, which goes quite slowly, or if you want a really fast zoom, you can just move it along. And what's kind of neat is, I don't know how good for it is, but I don't know if this is belt driven or what, but when you're operating the power zoom, it's designed in such a way that you can manually fight against it while the zoom motor is running, which is kind of cool. And when you zoom all the way to the extremes, it doesn't electronically know to stop. The zoom motor just keeps going, but it just doesn't move. I guess it's belt driven, so hopefully that doesn't wear out for as long as I own these things. Focus is the same. It's automatic, electrically powered focus, but you can do it manually. You can just shove it around whenever you want. So it's really cool because let's say, you know, I'm filming something dark or a close-up or something and the automatic focus is just really having trouble. I can just force it to wherever I want it to go and the focus will pick up from there. It'll be able to keep locked on from there. You literally assist the focus in doing its job, which I think is kind of funny. So you get the hand strap, of course. And get a tracking control. You always leave it in the middle when you're recording. The only purpose this serves is if you're playing back a tape that was recorded not in this camcorder. So it's just a normal VCR tracking control. Look around the side here. This door pops up to insert the tape. The VCR deck is a 4-head HQ design, so it yields quite good video quality. Right here's a little electronic tape counter. You can reset it, and you can actually set a memory on it, which means basically when memory's turned on, let's say there's a certain point of a tape that you want the camcorder to automatically stop to whenever you rewind or fast forward. You can go to that point, hit reset to set it to 0, and then hit memory. And then whenever you rewind or fast forward, when it gets to 0, it'll automatically stop. Eject button for the tape deck. Record review, basically when you're in the recording mode, pressing this causes the tape to rewind a few seconds, play back, and then go back to where you left off so you can start recording. Notice how just pristine this camcorder is. I wonder if these actually were used at school. I got them from school. I wonder if these were actually owned by the school, used by the arts department or something way back in the day. No clue, but they're in really good shape. This one especially. So your VCR controls are here. You have fast forward, stop, play, rewind, pause, and you have the power switch. You have an earphone jack so you can listen in when you're playing back a tape. There's no built-in speaker. A remote jack. This can record in SP and EP recording speeds. So for a standard TC30 cassette, SP is 30 minutes, EP is 45 minutes. And you get an AV in-out jack. Oh, I didn't know that. AV in-out? Really? So you can actually fully use this as a VCR? I'm just realizing this now. I've never used it. I've never tried to use it as an AV in. I've just noticed this now. I've only known it to be an AV out. Well, we'll have to try that then. Maybe you can input a video source into this and actually record and use this as a VCR fully. That's interesting. There's a couple of buttons which may seem a little odd. Right here is a button called Show. So basically this camcorder doesn't have separate record and VCR modes. Basically when you turn this on, it automatically goes into the VCR mode, and when you hit show, that activates the video circuitry and basically puts it into the record mode. So basically when you turn it on, the CCD and the microphone are disabled, and pressing show activates them and turns it from a VCR into a camcorder, pretty much. Instant recording, I don't know what the point of this button is. All I know is when you turn the camcorder on and you press show to put it into record mode, first you have to press this button, and that wraps the tape around the head, and then you can press the record button and start recording. I don't really know why it just doesn't do it automatically when you press show. I'm not really sure. We do have some video controls here. We have a fader, which is pretty nice, and we have backlight compensation, which increases the brightness of the video. Other manual controls we have on here, this button says filter. I do believe it's just white balance. You get two settings, basically indoor and outdoor, and you have focus, auto or manual. Put on manual and it keeps the power focus from working. And when you want to go back to fully automatic modes, just press full auto. Pretty simple, easy to use camcorder. We've got two things on here. I believe one of them's for one of these. They're both sensors. This might look like a light, it's not. One of these sensors is for the focus, and I don't know what the other one would be for. Light metering or something. I have really no clue. But I think that's pretty much all the controls on the thing. Get a tripod mount, 9.6 volts, 8 watts, Zenith Electronics Corporation, made in Japan by JVC. And in fact, if we look under the viewfinder, odd place to put it, but it's there. Data manufacturer, October 1986. So let's put this aside for a moment and see what other equipment we have. I haven't looked in these in quite a while, so whoops. So you've got this small compartment that opens up. I like these cases, they're very nice. They were designed specifically for these camcorders. Looks dark on the screen. I'll turn my video light on. So, got some cables here. So this is a video cable, and it's got that funny proprietary connector on it. And if we look under here, we do have a shoulder strap. And another cable. Oh, a second video cable, fair enough. One for each camcorder. I guess I just put them both in here. Oh, we have keys. These cases can be locked. There's the lock right there. So that's kind of neat. And this right here is basically a holder for 3 cassettes. Fair enough. So that's what's in this top compartment here. Opening up the main part of the case. Quite a lot of stuff in here. Here's the power supply. So that plugs right into the wall. And it's got a place for the battery to slide on. And it's got a power switch to power the camcorder. The camcorder power output is right here. It's got a regular barrel-to-barrel cable that plugs in there and plugs in the camcorder. And it's a standard center positive connector. When I first got these camcorders, I naturally tried charging the batteries using the power supply. And it worked, but here's something really weird. Now, NiCad batteries are meant, ideally, to have a very low current put into them. For a 1 amp hour battery, like 100 milliamps for a few hours is pretty sufficient. But I don't know if there's something wrong with these power supplies, or if this is just how they were designed. But when I first tried charging the batteries with these power supplies, I remember one of the batteries I tried, the battery got so hot so quickly that these batteries have inside them, they have a bimetallic strip, and it's in circuit with the cells. So if you short the battery or put too much current into the battery charging it, that bimetallic strip heats up, and then it opens up, it goes open circuit. And then once it cools down, it connects back together. And when I first tried one of the batteries on this power supply, the battery got so hot that the bimetallic strip actually opened up. And, you know, I was charging this thing, and all of a sudden I hear this boing sound, this really loud, like, boing sound. And it scared the crap out of me because it's like, what kind of battery makes a boing sound? Like, did one of the cells explode? But why did it make a boing sound? Well, it turns out it was that bimetallic strip springing open because of the heat. And I checked the voltage of the battery and it read 0 because it was open circuit. And I'm like, oh, holy cow, it completely destroyed the battery. And like an hour later, I go back and check the voltage and it's regular voltage again. And that's when it clicked in my head. It's like, there's a bimetallic strip in there for safety. But yeah, I don't know if, because I've checked all the batteries, and when I put a normal amount of current into them, they don't heat up. So these, I don't know if there's something wrong with these power supplies, but they pump a ton of current into the battery, way more than it is appropriate. So I don't charge them in these anymore. I use the IMAX B6. It works a lot better anyway. So where was this made? Made in Japan. This is, again, standard JVC part. Exact same, just different brand name on it. So that's the power supply. What the heck? Okay, apparently I have 3 video cables. What? Was there? I guess whoever owned these had a third one of these, because here's a third video cable. Okay. That's a regular coax television cable. This is an RF modulator, so you can plug the camcorder into a standard coax input on a television set. There's the power supply cable. And that's it in this case. Let's look inside the other case, see what surprises we have. Well, I think this part's just full of batteries. Yep, just lots of batteries. There's the aftermarket battery. I looked on eBay, and this exact battery, someone's selling it on eBay as a new part. Beware, I bet it's not new. I bet it's new old stock, and I bet that battery's probably not good anymore, but they're selling it as a brand new battery. So that's what's in this part. Let's look at the main part here. Oh, it's heavy, full of batteries, top part. Alright. Lock it so it don't slam on my fingers. So obviously you see the other camcorder. Jeez. You see the other camcorder in here. Alright, I'm gonna have to tip it like this. Another RF modulator. Another power supply. And, well, that case had 3 video cables. This case had no video cable, so I guess I should put this other video cable in this case. So and there's a coax cable. So the other camcorder, a couple imperfections on it. The eyepiece for the viewfinder is held on with string, and the microphone foam has been lost, I guess, and someone's replaced it with this. Works just fine, so I'll keep it on there. But otherwise, this camcorder too works just perfect, which is great. Oh yeah, this camcorder, this one, the better one, you might be able to see there, this rubber parts that houses the record button has fallen off. I've just kind of pressed it back on there, but it's going to fall off again. It needs to be glued on there. That's no problem. The other camcorder is still holding though. And each of these camcorders also came with a lens cap. So I think it's high time that we finally powered this thing on and stuck a tape in it and do a functional demonstration. We have over here, oh, it's done. So basically how I charge these batteries is, well, how I used to charge them was I started out with a 1C charge current, 1C based on the original rated capacity. So I would start with 1 amp going into these. And see, basically with NiCad batteries, it's constant current charging. You can't charge NiCad or nickel metal hydride batteries using a constant voltage. It just doesn't work. You put a constant current into them, the voltage usually goes way up above the rated voltage. As you can see here, it ended at 12.75 volts, so the voltage goes up really high, and then as the battery nears full charge, the voltage starts going back down a little bit, because it starts converting more of the charge into heat instead of into energy. It just dispels the extra energy as heat, and that's what causes the voltage to go back down. the charger senses that decrease in voltage, and that's when it knows the battery's full. So basically how I charge these is I start with a 1 amp charging current, and every time the charge gets done, because it only takes like a few minutes because the charge current's way higher than it would normally be. Optimum charge current is like C over 10, so that'd be like 100 milliamps for these, but you can put more. You just got to do it for a shorter length of time and make sure the battery doesn't get hot. But I start with a 1 amp charge current, and it would get done in a few minutes, and then I'd go down to 0.9 and it'd get done in a few minutes, and it only takes a few minutes, so it's actually, it works quite well to get, you know, a faster charge rather than putting 100 milliamps into it for like 12 hours. But yeah, I'd do that, going down by 100 milliamps each time, and then when it got to 100 milliamps and it finished, that was when I considered the battery to be full, because once I got down to like 100 or 200 milliamps, the charge cycles would take like an hour or two. So that's what I used to do. I don't do that anymore because if you look right here, there's a crack in the battery case. I actually caused one of the cells to explode, basically. The battery still works, and it actually still reads the capacity, it still does, but yeah, I guess one of the cells didn't like the high current one day and kind of vented. There was a bang and the case cracked. The bang probably wasn't the battery itself expanding, it was probably the case cracking. But I was like, oh, it kind of scared me. And I do the same thing now, but I start at 500 milliamps, not 1 amp. So I did the 500, the 400, and I just finished the 300 milliamp cycle on this battery. So normally I'd do 200, then 100, but I'm going to call it done because we want to start testing these camcorders. So the battery's just lukewarm. So it seems to work quite well, much better than the power supply charges them. So we're going to stick this battery up on here. When we do that, we should see the electronic tape counter come to life. It always stays on. There. You see you get a 0 there, and yeah, if I press memory, it turns the memory on. So there's no tape in here. So when I turn the camcorder on by pressing the blue power switch, the tape loading motor did a quick test, and the thing's now on, and if we look, oh geez, okay, excuse me while I turn steady shot off. I wonder if I can do that live. Yes, I can. Okay, steady shot's now off, and hopefully you can see, it's a little bit better, but not much. The viewfinder's not showing anything right now. But if I press the show button, so let me press show, slowly the CCD comes to life, and now we're running. And you can see there's a little indicator that shows up at the bottom left. It says light, and that means that you're not getting enough light for a good image. So it's really not easy to show you what the viewfinder's showing. But I think it's good enough. Oh, you can probably see, of course, the focus is already active, so there you can see the focus moving there. There. You can see the, it's going to work now. You can see the focus working, and I can just manually shove it wherever I want. I can fight against it. And then you have the power zoom. I'll use the power zoom here, and you can see that goes along. I can fight against that with my hand while it's running. Very cool. And notice it's got this blue labeled section. That's a macro section. You can't get there from the power zoom. But if you depress this little button and rotate it manually, now I'm in macro mode, so that's not a zoom feature, but actually a focus feature, but you have to access it from the zoom control. And what's kind of neat is once I'm in the macro mode, let me turn steady shot back on, excuse me. Forgot I had that off. There, hopefully that's a bit better. Once you're in macro mode, you can use the power zoom control to navigate through it. You can see I'm doing that right now. And then once I get too far and I get out of it, you'll hear a snap when it latches out of the macro mode. And now I can't get back in there until I depress the button and move it back in. But it's very good because this thing has the best macro mode I've ever seen on a camcorder. As a matter of fact, not kidding, fully into the macro mode, this thing focuses on stuff not on the surface of the lens, stuff inside the lens. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the range of focus in the macro mode is just incredible, so the power zoom's really nice for making really fine focus adjustments when you're in the macro mode.